Welcome back to Issues of Faith. We're talking about a new book, Mother and Child Project. We have with us Jenny Dyer, Hope Through Healing Hands Executive Director, also Scott Sauls, who contributes to the book and is with Christ Presbyterian Church in Nashville. There you see the cover of the book. And when we talk about how important it is to help families facing poverty and how important women are in that struggle, you focus on healthy spacing and timing of pregnancies. What do you mean by that, and what can be done about that? But let's delve into that issue.
Right. So if you want to talk about the framework of maternal and child health, about 300,000 women die every year because of complications in pregnancy and childbirth. We could easily cut that in half. We can easily cut that back. With some simple measures around prenatal and postnatal care, including healthy timing and spacing of pregnancies. So when we talk about that, this healthy timing and spacing, healthy timing, we mean that the young woman should really, if she can wait until she's about 18 to 20 years old, she's 10 to 14 times more likely to survive pregnancy and childbirth than if she were to have children previously. In countries like Ethiopia, over half the young women are married with an average age of 16, so even before 16 in many cases. So you're talking about debuting that first pregnancy after 18 so she can just survive the complications. That's really the timing piece of this. The spacing issue is that if you can space those pregnancies every 3 years apart and have those children 3 years apart, the child can have better physical support, cognitive support, emotional support by the mom, longer breastfeeding, this kind of thing. And the newborn is actually twice as likely to survive if they can space those pregnancies. And it's something the mother wants. You know, 220 million women around the world say they want the education and resources to better time and space their pregnancies, to better plan their families with their partners and with their husbands. And we want to be able to do that. We want to be able to provide that. And
think of the impact of that. When the mother dies, then you are left a child with no mother. What future does that child have? And to get back to what you wrote about, I guess in Uganda, you hear this and it makes sense. Okay, you shouldn't get married so early. Naturally, the outcomes will be better if you wait and have children later. Naturally, the outcomes will be better if you space the children apart. But for whatever reason, that's not happening. And you're saying in Uganda, part of the value system, the culture is, can you produce children? And that's a tough thing to overcome.
It is a tough thing to overcome, and you know, I guess from where we are in the world and our situation and our locale, the only thing that we can do is try something, and this is a valiant effort to do that. You know, how can you change a culture on the other side of the world and import Western cultural values? I don't ever think that's a good idea. You know, missionaries have failed because they've tried to do that in foreign lands, but there are biblical values that apply to all people, all times, all cultures, and one of the fundamental biblical principles that drives this whole movement, and Melinda Gates actually mentions it in her introduction to the book, is that all people share equal dignity with all other people. And there's this great excerpt from Martin Luther King Jr. that's in the book I'd love to read if that's okay. Do we have a minute?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think this really provides, at least from where I'm coming from and where I like participating in projects like this, I feel like this is really at the heart of who Christ is, and you know, how he was always moving toward people on the margins, toward those who had healthcare issues, toward little children, toward women who were disempowered. I mean, it's all there. But here's what Dr. King says, and this is right in the you know, middle of the civil rights movement. He said, the whole concept of the image of God is this idea that all men have something within them that God injected. And this gives him a uniqueness, it gives him worth, it gives him dignity. And we must never forget this. There are no gradations in the image of God. Every man from a treble white to a bass black is significant on God's keyboard, precisely because every man is made in the image of God. One day we will learn that. We will know one day that God made us to live together as brothers and to respect the dignity and the worth of every man. Now, of course, he's speaking, on the issue of racial equality, but it translates. The principle translates to, economic equality, socioeconomic equality, translated into access to health care and access to wisdom with respect to family planning. And one other thing I want to say, because I think it's going to be probably important to some of your hearers to hear this, the spacing, this movement is decidedly not in favor of abortion, and that's not promoted in any instance. And I think that's probably important for your listeners to hear. This is actually a way for pro-life people who are rightfully zealous for the protection of the unborn. This actually offers a way to promote and be part of a comprehensive ethic of life that's looking for justice, on the one hand for the child, but also on the other hand for the mother, and through the mother and the child for a developing world society and culture. And so this is actually very, very congruent with what drives the pro-life ethic, whether you're talking about pro-life inside the womb or pro-life on behalf of the poor and the oppressed. And so felt like some of your hearers might want some clarification.
Well, sure. Family planning is a pro-life issue, and I think that's in there. It's written by a former speechwriter for George W. Bush. You also have Hillary Clinton, who contributes to this. So it is, you got all sides contributing, and you don't want it to be political. But when you talk about the culture in these other countries, and the culture is there is value placed on how many children a woman can have, how do you change that culture? Do you see it as an education issue, or do you see it as actually changing the culture?
Right, changing the culture. That is a huge topic, and one, frankly, that's beyond the scope of Scott or myself.
Let Bono take care of that one.
Bono?
That's really beyond what we're here to do. My job is to educate and activate, particularly people of faith, faith communities, about these issues. Just as Scott said, about maternal newborn child health and healthy timing and spacing of pregnancies, or family planning, international family planning, so that we can protect and perhaps even increase some foreign assistance funding around those issues on this side for USAID implementation. So I'm not on the other side, changing culture. That's not my job. But yeah, there's much work to be done. But the good news is that it's happening. Ethiopia is a great example. They've doubled their access to contraceptives, which has doubled their GDP per capita per family. We're seeing the changes already, right? If mom and baby can stay healthy and space those children, mom can go back and provide financial assistance for the family, which in turn contributes to the nation and its own economic sustainability.
Absolutely. Ethiopia is mentioned in here, and that's kind of a success story. That's at least an area you can point to where there has been some progress, and that's what people want to see. Then you look at some of the other essays in here, either from some of the stars or from some of the mothers from some of the developing countries. Either one of you want to take, some that kind of spoke to you. What are some of the other essays in here that really kind of speak to either one of you?
I mean, quite honestly, I was most compelled by Melinda Gates because of the way that she puts herself on equal ground with those who have nothing. And you look at Melinda Gates, married to and partner with one of the wealthiest people of our time, and yet this is what they've chosen to do with their resources. Not because they see themselves as the savior coming in from the outside, but because they see their own commonality with the people that they're attempting to resource in whatever way communicates dignity. And so I've been most moved by that, and it's really a check to my spirit of just reminding me of the very same things that Dr. King said, that there is no distinction in human value, and every person is crowned with glory and honor and created in the image of God, and because of that, something must be done. And so I'm very compelled by that. I'm obviously very moved by the firsthand testimonies of the conditions that these women have grown up in, and they know nothing other than these conditions. It's actually not a bad thing to have a lot of children. We're just talking about what is a way that many children can be had, and the mother can mother them in a way that's healthy and such. So.
Well, yeah, okay, we have about a minute 30 left. So where do we go from here? This book comes out March 30th, so it comes out this month.
Yes.
And where do we go from here in the final minute or so?
The book will come out. It'll be on Amazon. It'll be in Christian bookstores. It'll be in secular bookstores. We would love to get it to churches, people in the pews across the nation, to really educate and activate these faith communities on behalf of the world's poorest.
And churches can make a difference here, right? In the final 30 seconds we have, how can churches really make a difference here?
Well, I would welcome, on behalf of the Faith-Based Coalition for Healthy Mothers and Children Worldwide, which really is the impetus for this book, I would welcome all pastors that are watching the show, anyone, any person of faith, to join our coalition, to write us and sign up, to sign our declaration, to offer an endorsement, and really get behind this movement, if you will, to support these mothers and children around the world.
Jenny Dyer, thank you. Scott Sauls, thank you. Thank all of you for watching Issues of Faith. Have a great day, everybody.